David did not beat Goliath with the king's armor. He beat Goliath with his strength. We got to use the strength that we have on our O-line and our D-line, put them in better positions to win, and we will see these kids flourish. I'm telling you. What's going on, Buff Nation? What's happening? I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you for clicking on this video. I appreciate you guys. Listen, pump the brakes. Colorado can turn it around. Colorado can change its season and turn this around in its favor. It can happen. I'm optimistic. However, certain things must change. And when I say must, that's an understatement. If they do not change certain things, it's going to be a downward turn. They must make certain adjustments, which I'm going to talk about in this video. I got a little bit of help with that. I got 3 people that can help me with this. We're going to talk about that right after this intro. Roll the intro, Harry B. You're somewhere in the studio. This is my, yeah. Roll the intro, Harry B. Let's go.
BWB. Bandwagon Buffs.
That's right. It's your man's Harry Billion. Please do me a favor and smash that subscribe button. Make sure to give me the thumbs up. And don't forget to hit that bell notification so that you can get the videos as soon as I upload it to YouTube. All right, family, I got to go ahead and get into this video real quick. So that's all the business I got. You know what time it is. Let's work. All right, guys, welcome back. Let's go ahead and get right to work. Colorado got beat by Nebraska. There were signs in the NDSU game that things were not going to go great with Nebraska, but we kind of swept it under the rug. We put it away because we felt like Colorado did very well on the offensive side of the ball. I also said during my live stream, I said on that stream that if the defense that showed up with NDSU shows up and not ready to play, that game would be over by the first half. There's a little bit of a caveat to that. The defense did show up to play. The defense did pretty well, but the second half, they didn't allow any scores. The game was still over by the second half, all right? So I was partially right. This time, the offense did not show up. In this video, I want to articulate something. What I feel like the biggest problem is not with the talent. That's not the biggest problem. That is a problem. Let me acknowledge that is a problem. You need the talent to execute, but that is not the biggest problem. I feel like the biggest problem that Colorado has is schematics. Colorado has an issue with scheming. And the reason why Colorado has that issue is because Coach Prime trusts Shedeur way too much. Way too much. Our game plan cannot be predicated upon Tua is our best player. He's a great decision maker. Let's put the ball in his hands and let's get out the way. In college football, that's not sustainable. If the game plan does not change, if they do not make the necessary adjustments, Shedeur may not last the entire season. Shedeur got hit so many times in the NDSU game. He also got hit a lot of times in Nebraska. Got sacked 7 times, either 6 or 7 times. Last year it was 8 times. The current give the ball to Tua and get out the way game plan is not sustainable. I'm not just here to pick on Shedeur or any specific things. What I like to do today, I like to offer some solutions. But I want to react to the solutions that are being provided by the professionals, at least 3 of the professionals. The reason why I want to talk about this is because Shedeur made a statement in his press conference. Let's play the press conference. That way we can get more of a perspective on what I'm going to be talking about and how I'm going to approach the solution. Let's roll the clip.
Shedeur, how important do you think it is for this offense to continue to, develop, a running game and continue to be balanced, to, try to be more balanced? How do you think that can kind of help, your game, obviously, this offense as a whole?
I mean, how many times did Rowley get touched?
You said what?
How many times did Rowley get touched? There was able, of course, whenever you're able to run the ball consistently and whenever you're able to, then that opens up the pass, But it's just like you got to understand, like, what your team good at. So it's like, why would we keep running the ball if, okay, we out there and we get in a situation where it's a must get and we don't get it?
The idea that if we're not good at it, we're not going to do it is the reason why I wanted to make this video. And I want y'all to hear me out, all right? Because a lot of people, you come to the channel, you make weirdo comments. Oh, you don't know anything about football. This channel is way better than you. All that weird stuff that some people like to say. There are ways to make this happen. We have to understand that Colorado lacks talent on the D-line and the O-line. I totally get that part. But I don't know that it's just the talent's fault, because that's what we do. When we're watching the game, we're watching the game in real time, and we're just seeing our team getting manhandled, and it seems as if there are no answers no matter what. Some of us we're just watching, and We don't see that our team can actually match this team's effort. Now, if you are just watching it from that standpoint, just from the surface standpoint, then what you're watching is, yeah, you're correct. Your emotions are going up and down. Why can we not stop them? What's going on? Why I say that every time they get the ball, they can run it down the field, run it down our throat. But for some odd reason, when we get the ball, we're always getting pressured. There are solutions to this. Depending on how you're watching, from your vantage point, you can just come to the conclusion and say, oh, the O-line is no good. Oh, the D-line is no good. Y'all remember last year, that's what we prescribed. That's what we said was the problem. Sean Lewis left because we demoted him and because his play calling was not up to par. We can all agree to that. We said Sean Lewis did not want to run the ball. And then we come to this year again, the same thing is happening. There's no Sean Lewis to blame this time. What exactly is going on? I think what's going on is that Colorado lacks creativity. Let me suggest this. How do y'all think David defeated Goliath? Put it in the comments. David defeated Goliath with scheme. David played to his strength to defeat Goliath. If y'all remember the story of David and Goliath, you remember that they tried to give David the armor of a soldier. David decided that the armor was way too heavy. He was not going to be as swift and mobile as he usually is because he knew his strength. He can kill a bear with his bare hands. He can kill a bear or a lion or any animal that was attacking his father's flock. He's done it before, and he knew how he did it. So he knew his strength. He had the confidence and knew that he could take down Goliath, but he was not going to do it with the king's armor. He just asked for a couple of stones and his slingshot. David was able to defeat Goliath because of scheme and playing to his own strength. I feel like Colorado is lacking that idea of it. I have several videos lined up with 3 professionals that I believe know what they're talking about. They're going to tell you what are some adjustments that we can make that can actually put our guys in position. I keep screaming it, I keep saying it, but since I'm not the football guy, it falls on deaf ears. If you don't have the strength on the O-line, you cannot give your O-line the armor to wear. You cannot use basic schemes against a defensive line with 3 people coming at you every single down and continue to do the same thing and think that something's going to change. You're going to have to trick them. You're going to have to do something different. So for those of you out there that know and understand that we do not have the talent nor the strength to match some of these bigger O-lines and D-lines that we're going to be playing, I agree with you that we may not be able to match them talent for talent and strength for strength, but we don't have to. That's the thing I keep screaming. We don't have to match them talent for talent, strength for strength. They can have the biggest O-line. They can have a much bigger O-line. Pound for pound, much bigger. Taller, height for height, much taller. They can. But can Colorado compete with those? Yes, they can. So let's go ahead and present these solutions. I'm going to react to these videos, so I'm going to stop it every now and then to give my thoughts about it. Here are some solutions that can happen. Because I'm not giving up on Colorado. Colorado's still my team. I can be critical, but Colorado's still my team. Y'all remember I told y'all about that grace. I said, what happens if the losing starts? Would you still have that grace? What happens if the same things continue to happen like last year? Would you still have that grace? Where are you now? Where are some of y'all that were unsubscribing from my channel because I was saying these things? Where are you now? Let me provide some solutions. And if these solutions, these things that these gentlemen are saying are not implemented, it can turn ugly. We may not have our quarterback by mid-season because he may get hurt, and we're trying to prevent that from happening. It's serious now. Let's try the first solution. All right, guys, so let me go ahead and give you this disclaimer. YouTube, I do not own this footage. This footage is from Nightcap, all right, with Shannon Sharp, Ocho Cinco. This is my reaction to what they're doing. So hopefully I don't get copyright stricken. I just want to get this information out there to the fan base because I feel like people are losing hope, and a lot of the people that are out there, they don't see a way out. But just like I told you guys, we're going to have to apply grace. So let's listen in.
I have a question. Now, from an offensive standpoint, I think I'm not a coach by no means, but I'm just saying based off what I've seen, and you said Shedeur holding the ball a little too long. If you have an offensive line, if you have a defensive line that is continuously sacking your quarterback and applying pressure the way they are, I'm just saying from what I saw, I think they should have went to the quick game a little bit more. Stop spreading it out so wide, condense the formations, putting players in motion, having crossing routes so that so Shador can get the ball out of his hands and find some of the rhythm in that way to get the passing game going, instead of having him in shotgun or having him drop back or anything over 5 or 7 step drop. Just hurry up and get the ball out fast and probably get a drive and try to get a drive going just to get the quarterback in rhythm with the receivers.
So that's the first prescription. Maybe bring Shador up on center. Let him come forward. The drop back is not working. It's too far. He's a sitting duck back there. They are teeing Shador up. Every single play is almost the same thing. We're going shotgun formation, and the defense can read that. They know what's coming. There's not much you can do with college football with the defensive coordinator knows what this formation is. You can fool them with a different look, but they know what's coming. So it's easily picked up. If Shador's being rushed too much, instead of dropping him all the way back, why not we just come up to the line of scrimmage? Because what happens at the line of scrimmage, if you watch the NFL, most of those guys are right at the line of scrimmage. They're getting the ball from that center, and they know who's coming. They can say, hey, man, you get this guy, you get that guy. As soon as you say hike, you're either turning around to give the ball to somebody who's moving on the side, or you're turning around to your running back. You're turning around to do some type of fake handoff or something. That may buy Shador some time, because these guys come in. They come rushing in. If you're in the shotgun, they got time to tee you up. They know what you're about to do. That's where they were getting Shador most of the time. What Dylan Raiola was doing, and I was saying on the live, what he was doing all night. Our guys come running full speed at Raiola. All he did was just step to the side. It takes 2 seconds to just step to the side. He stepped to the side and boom, there it went. Step to the side, boom, there it went. Buying more time. Because it's in a shotgun, it's a little harder to execute that play. It's a little harder for these guys to block for him in order for him to be able to find his receivers downtown. Your offensive line cannot hold these bigger defensive linemen. So they're being punished all night long with the same look. The same look. They're being punished. So switch it up. Switch it up. Another solution.
Even if they players a little better interior, in the interior. I could be wrong.
Ocho's a very humble guy, and he's trying to play the line. He understands he's not trying to ruffle no feathers. He's not a conflict guy. He don't want to deal with none of that, trying to throw nobody under the bus. So he could be wrong. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. If you're in shotgun formation the entire night and they're teeing you up back there and they're getting at you, come to the scrimmage line. Let's try some guys in motion. Switch it up. Give them a different look. Let them come full speed past you. We can't just say it's not good for our team when we're not trying the gamut of things that are actually available to us. Shador's fate is already sealed in the sense that he's already going to the NFL. Whether it's the number 1 guy or whether it's top 5, he's already going. We know that. He can play the game of football. But now we're going to have to stop worrying about Shador and start thinking down the line. Start thinking about the other guys. If we say that we're unselfish, let's start thinking about the other guys. Because the longer you hold the ball, the longer those guys got to block for you. All of these plays are designed for Shador to do Shador. So the longer Shador be Shador, the longer it's going to take for everything to develop. Because Shador needs time to process. A little bit longer time than they're giving him. It ain't there. So let's scrap that plan of let's put it in Shador's hand, let him do his thing. That ain't going to work at this level. It may have worked at Jackson State. They have superior talent. So Shador could do Shador. At this level, when the talent is equal or even better, we got to scrap that, throw it away, do something different. It can't just be put the ball in Shador's hand, let Shador do Shador. It's not working. It's obviously not working. It worked at Jackson State. It's over. That's done. We got to revamp this whole system. Let's come up with a better game plan than just put the ball in Tu's hands because we trust him. If we don't change that and come up with a real game plan, and when I say a real game plan, I mean a real game plan for situational football where the defense is giving you this, you're like, okay, let's use this package. The defense is giving us that, okay, let's use that package. This situation that they're giving us, this is good for shotgun, and Shador can switch it up. This situation, but for the most part, we're down on center. We need to play quicker. Not this set back 7 feet and let Shador do Shador. In the preseason, we were proud of the 127 years of NFL experience. If we got 127 years between all of those coaches of NFL experience, you're telling me that not one person in that group is run first minded so that when you think about it, and we know that we cannot run the ball because our offensive line is having trouble blocking, why don't we tap somebody that knows how to scheme for running? If it's in your group, fine. If it's not in your group, find someone. It's an impediment. It's stopping us. It's an obstacle. We do not have schemes that can help our lesser offensive line, help them to beat the aggressors. So you will go out there and you will find somebody that is capable of doing that. You have enough NFL connections. You have enough college football connections. You have enough connections in the coaches realm. People who are geniuses on coming up with different schemes. If Pat Shermer can't do it, tap somebody else that you can bring in as a consultant, an assistant, or something that is just focused, that knows how to dial in runs when you don't have the O-line to block. It becomes so creative, and Joe Klatt has a prescription for some of that too. That's coming up in a second. But you got to be able to find somebody out there. I don't know where they are. There's somewhere out there that understands that when you have an inferior offensive line that cannot block, how do we coach them up so that we can establish a run? There has to be a way. The solution cannot be, oh, it don't work, so why would we continue to do that? You know why you got to do it regardless of, in spite of? It's because of the health of your quarterback. The second Ryan Stubb comes in, we all of a sudden know how to get down on center and get the ball out quickly. All of a sudden. But because we trust Shador with the ball, we're not putting him in a position to win. He can't be in shotgun forever. We continue to get beat on that O-line. Let Joe Klatt tell you about what I'm talking about. Ways you can switch it up. He has a solution. Let's listen to his solutions.
Nebraska beats Colorado 28-10. Maybe it wasn't even that close. Maybe it wasn't even that close. Let's start with Colorado first. This looks like the exact same team from last year.
Yes, it does.
This is a team that is maddeningly boring on offense.
Like when he says maddeningly boring on offense, you fall asleep because you're like, wait, are they going to try something else? Or they're just going to keep doing the same thing and just hope that maybe by some luck of the draw, something's going to come out of this? But it's not working.
And an offensive line that really struggles in protection. In fact, it's the elephant in the room that even their head coach has to at least address.
Just simply, why was it so difficult for the offense to respond to Nebraska's defense?
I have no idea.
The first thing I want to say about that, a coach is not supposed to say, I have no idea. A head coach cannot, under no circumstances, say, I have no idea. You're the head coach. When you say you have no idea, where are we supposed to get it from? You got to come up with an answer, whether it's half-baked or it's something that you rehearse when they get you these type of questions. I know that you're an open book and you're an honest guy, but these type of answers are not acceptable. As a head coach, you come up with something. You think for a second and you're going to come up with something, but you can't say I have no idea, not as a head coach, because it is your job as the head coach to know and have an idea. You got to. We got to know what they're doing, how they're doing it, why they're doing it, and then we got to have an answer for that. That's how all of this thing works. You have to, at all costs, come up with a scheme to answer everything that you see on the tape that was delivered to your office. You saw them practice. You saw the games last year. You know what they were going to do. You know when they line up in this pocket. You know when they're in this position, what they're going to do. They can only change it but so much. So as a head coach who's prepared for the game, and you have your own scheme, the entire scheme for the game, you should know on every single down what they're doing because you've seen it already with some slight variations, and you have an answer for it. And then when you go to your conference, your press conference, and they ask you, you can say, we had an answer for this, for that. They just beat us on a lot of plays. That's fine. But I have no idea. Not acceptable.
Known that answer, I think we would have responded quicker. Yeah, we just never got it going until it was too late. Seemed like we just never got it going. Protections were a problem. I'm trying to be polite and say it because, if I could say the same thing you're thinking, but if I said, you say I'm throwing my guys up under the bus, I'm not doing that whatsoever.
Why would you even say that? I'm going to say what y'all are already thinking that, the O-line can't block. But I'm not going to say that. Because if I say that, y'all would say I'm throwing my players under the bus. Bruh.
Protection were a problem. We got to figure out a way to prevent that and do a better job with that.
Yes, they've got to figure out a better way to protect the quarterback. The O-line is not any better. I thought that they were going to be better, and they're not any better. They're virtually the exact same offensive line, not in terms of names, but in terms of play. That this is a carbon copy of what we saw a year ago. Shador has
0 seconds,
not even a second to read the defense. There are times that he holds the ball, but it's not often. He's just constantly under duress. 7 sacks allowed. Last year they allowed 8. I will say this: overall, is the team exactly the same? No, The defense plays harder and plays better than they did a year ago. For
the most part, yeah. Not exactly the same, but if we're going to keep pointing the fingers at the O-line, we understand what we don't have. So let's work with what we got. Let's work with their talent. We got to work with their talent.
The second straight game, they didn't give up any points in the second half and at least gave themselves a chance. But the offense, man, the offensive plan is just so uninspired and totally unsustainable.
For real.
Totally unsustainable. Let's say it this way. Like when you see and watch and feel the best offenses in college football.
Hopefully you got to this point of the video. Open your mind and hear what this man got to say.
Generally, what you see is teams that put the defense in conflict, and they do it both before the snap and after the snap. And this is what the great play callers do. So let's just kind of like take a couple of examples out there.
Please do it.
Lincoln Riley, I think that he's one of the better offensive coaches. I think Kalen DeBoer is a great offensive coach. I think Steve Sarkisian's a great offensive coach. Or Lane Kiffin, Ryan Day, who now has Chip Kelly. So those guys. So like, what do those offenses have in common that I just mentioned right there?
Tell me, please.
Movement. Okay, so pre-snap, you've got to make the defense work.
Movement. Colorado's offense has zero movement. No kind of like people moving around up and down the line. You see things adjusting. Nebraska's first game, the plan was so well developed that Ravioli, now I got to give him respect. Dylan Raiola, he checked at least 3 or 4 times. And that play ended up being like a touchdown. He was like, no, I see that. No, I see that. No, let's go to this package. Colorado has nothing of a sort. No movement. We give them the same look, and we just hoping that something different happens.
You've got to change your structure. You've got to change what they're looking at. You've got to present movement. You've got to present shifts and motions, not only for your benefit to gain an advantage, but in terms of, leverage, recognition of coverage and structure on the other side. But it's also just difficult for them.
Yeah. If you're watching film and you guys are in that film room and they're showing you, hey, if they're in this coverage, they are going to do that. DB, what's your assignment? Oh, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Okay, fine. That's great. What's your assignment? Oh, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. We keep going over and over again. All right, guys, let's show you a different look. If they're in this look, okay, it's the same look. It's a little bit of a different look, but it's the same play with a different look. What are they going to do? What's your assignment? Oh, my assignment is this. Just go get the quarterback. So if that's what film does. They're showing you in the film room. You all are doing film study. You're looking at the different looks they're going to give you. It ain't going to change that much. The looks are not changing that much that where if they give you the look, it's going to be something totally different. No, it's not. You got to switch it up. You got to confuse the defense and make them work for it. It can't just be let's line up, shotgun, They're coming for you.
Difficult for them to really zero in on how they want to pressure, when they want to pressure, from which side they want to pressure. You've got to get them to declare their strength. Do they want to be a passing strength team or do they want to be a run strength team? You've got to have the ability to do all of these things because pre-snapped conflict is difficult on the defense. It's just
pre-snap conflict. Solutions, guys. We're giving you solutions to this issue that we have on this offensive line. Our offensive line is not strong enough to push the bigger guys back, right? We cannot move the guys in order for us to make room for us to develop our plays. That's what we're talking about here. You got to create some type of conflict. You got to be able to confuse that defensive line a little bit. You got to make them work for it. This is what's happening here. We understand that our offensive line is not the best offensive line, but there are solutions that coaches can actually study and implement to work with your guys and make them the aggressors, to make them honest, keep them honest, help them out to be in the best position to win. You cannot just give the ball to Charlie Offerdale and go run it into a 360-something pound, 6'9" guy and say Charlie Offerdale sucks. You can't take a fish out of the water, just throw him out there and say, go and walk 10 miles and say, oh my gosh, you suck at walking. We know Charlie Offerdale's strength, so why do we have design plays for Charlie Offerdale? Charlie Offerdale is not a straight up and down runner. He can do straight up and down. Let's trick these guys a little bit. 1 yard, we can't get 1 yard. Let's trick them a little bit. Let's make it harder for the defense to come. We know they're bigger. We know they're stronger. Let's make it harder for them.
Just is. And in fact, every defense in college football does this. Very few times do great offenses just stand static in one formation and call plays.
I believe it was one analyst that said that Shador is back there and he's like a statue. And everybody wanted to go after him for that. It's happening. We all see it, guys. We out here, we see it. It ain't working. It's still. We all know what's coming. Even the lesser football minds know what's coming. And when you're in the same formation all the time, they're going to get at you. CSU game, we should see motion. We should see people flying all around the daggone screen. I mean, it should be so confusing. We should not know who's going to get the ball. Make it confusing. And then Shador has to be a magician with that ball. Hide the ball. When you hide the ball, hide it. Fake it off. Do fake handoffs. I'm used to traditional football where quarterbacks, they're magicians with the ball, not just throwing it. Yeah, if anybody, I'm sure anybody with 6 seconds can find an open guy. What happens when you don't have that? That's when you're round one and you're Heisman material. You find creative ways to make it work.
It's a 2x2 formation or it's a 3x1 formation. So if you're not moving and creating conflict pre-snap, I don't think that the players are in position to succeed. Okay, in particular,
we are supposed to put our players in position to succeed. Why? Because it's not their strength to move the line. We know that. They could not move NDSU's line to get 1 yard, and they could not move Nebraska. It usually takes you like a couple of snaps to know what's happening. Or at least, okay, we'll give you the whole first quarter. Okay, now we settled in. We know what's happening. We know what they're doing. We know what looks we're giving. We know that we can't push. So now we got to scheme our way out of this. That's where the coaching comes in. That's where we talk about, it's coaching. It's all about scheming. David did not beat Goliath by wearing the king's armor. He had to work with his strengths and use his schemes to beat Goliath. If you are a wrestler or MMA fighter and you know somebody's much bigger and they're much stronger than you, would you come in and risk them grabbing you? Or will you stay on the outside and use your speed? Schemes. We know our offensive line is not the greatest. This is why I used to be screaming and saying it's not the offensive line's fault. Could it be better? Yes, it could be better, but we don't have that. Now that we have what we got, what do we need to do? Scheme our way out of it. Coach them up. Okay, you're not big enough? Fine. If that guy comes, just pretend like you're about to hit him real hard and he's going to change his position. It don't take that much, I'm telling you. Yes, it's easier said than done. I understand that. But he was a quarterback for Colorado. He understands football. He knows that these other coaches that he called, he knows that when they go against a tougher opponent, he knows that they know how to scheme with them. They may have the bigger, better team, but when these other coaches get you, when they get you in their house, they know how to out-scheme you. That's why people talk about coaching, because you have a game plan that is not based around two people. Shador, Travis. It's not based around two people. They got a whole game plan. They come with a whole book. And boy, when they see one thing, they're like, oh, we saw that in practice. We saw that in our film room. Let's give him this. Let me see how he deals with this. Oh, our guys are not that strong, but they're fast. Let's put them in this position. Let's tire them up. Let's get them tired. They're going to keep running all day. Their energy goes up every time they touch the quarterback because that's their assignment. Get to the quarterback. So now they're motivated. But if you get them tired every time they keep missing, you're going to wear them down. By the time the third quarter comes, they'll be so gassed, they won't know what to do, and so deflated, they won't know what to do.
Or if you're not going to have the best players on the field, it also helps in protection too, because you can change a lot of things up. Then post-snap, the conflict has to arrive in things like, is it a run? Is it a pass? Is it an RPO? How are we putting a defender in brackets? Are we bracketing in the passing game? Are we running progression reads? Like there's so many different things that an offense can do in order to put the defense in conflict or single defenders in conflict. And I just don't feel like Colorado does that. It's very static. It's very uninspired. There's very little creativity in the run game. And all of that winds up putting your quarterback on a tee.
I'm telling you, Shador is one of the best quarterbacks in college football with his decision-making, his arm, his ability to just read defenses. Yes, but I'm telling you, we're doing him such a grave disservice by just going through him with our entire game plan. Come on, man. Take the power from Shador and let's put it in the game plan so he can be successful. If he was with another coach and the coach is like, no, I got a game plan, don't worry, Shador will have bigger numbers. But because we trust him so much, okay, just give the ball to 2. No, Shador, if we're going to do this, in this situation, we're going to do this. After a couple of plays, you should already know what they're trying to do on defense. So now that we know that they're coming in like that, okay, fine. We needed to see that they were going to do that. Now we know that they're going to do that. So after the first quarter, it's time for us to ball. It's time for us to ball. Now let's switch it up on them. No switch up. We're just watching the same thing happen over and over and over and over. And we're sitting like, wait, what? This is not football. And I bet you I'm willing to bet my bottom dollar that Pat Shermer's hands are tied to Shador. Like, he is not allowed to run the offense that he wants to run. I bet you the same thing happened with Sean Lewis. I bet you if Sean Lewis was given the keys to the kingdom and not Shador, I bet you we would have saw different football. I promise you, we would have saw a whole other different type of football because we have the talent. I'm telling you, man.
It's too difficult. Everyone knows what protections are coming. It's either a 5-man or a 6-man protection with the back either inserting in the A gap, taking the Mike linebacker, or off the edge. So like these protections aren't fooling anybody. There's no run action pass. There's no play action pass. There's no
run action pass, no play action pass. Nothing. You're lining up to just play straight out football. And you think that these defensive coordinators that are very advantageous trying to get head coaching jobs are not going to shred you apart. Nebraska's defensive coordinator is probably going to be a head coach by the end of the season. We're making these people look like geniuses when they're just looking at your basic formations and they're shredding you. And mess me with, you don't know anything about football, your Monday morning quarterback, and mess me with all of that. He knows basic stuff that you can do to be the aggressor, basic things that you can do because you know that you have inferior line. Help these guys out. Help out your inferior line with better schemes. That way, they don't look so out of place. These kids are feeling like they're not being put into position to win. And kids that are watching from afar, kids that are trying to come into this program, they need to see this. Parents are watching these programs. People are listening. They're like, well, if Colorado's not going to do anything, then parents are not going to send their kids to Colorado. That's called recruiting. You may get one or two guys, a Jordan Seaton here and there, but that's not sustainable. We are playing a freshman. Is anybody listening out there? We are starting a freshman. Do you know that there are 5-star freshmen on other teams waiting to get playing time, but they got to develop on the other programs? But we're so depleted and we lack depth so much that one of our better players is a freshman from high school. Kid is barely 18 years old.
No half rolls in the pocket. There's no full rolls. There's no getting the quarterback totally outside of the pocket. There's no easy throws. Colorado's offense has to change, and it's got to become more inspired, or else what's happening, a static offense that puts a quarterback on a tee, is totally unsustainable. And I think that
and Shador can get hurt. Shador can get hurt, and we can lose him by the middle of the season. You're teeing up your quarterback. You're putting him on a tee for everybody to hit him. And we think that's sustainable football. People giving him forearms when he's sliding. CSU's going to come in here with some bad intentions. And you saw how they played us last year. They're going to come in here with some bad intentions, trying to hit Shador every single play they can. They're going to try to do exactly the same thing that Nebraska did. And they can do it. And if we see the same offensive stillness, I'm telling you, man, our quarterback might be changing out before the season is over. And it's unfortunate because we wanted to see Shador throughout this whole season do everything that he could do. But unfortunately, we got a situation where we trust him so much. Our entire offensive plan is put the ball in Tu's hands because we trust him because he's like that. It's not working, guys. Prime, it's not working, my guy.
That they know that. Pat Shermer is the offensive coordinator. I think that he knows that. You know, Pat's an NFL guy and an old school guy. And the guys that I mentioned in college football are more new school. I think he needs to get more into the movement, in particular before the snap, and to help that offense out.
To help our offense out. In order for our offense and our offensive line to help them, to be honest, to put them in position to win, we're going to have to change up the look on the formations. We got to give them different formations. We got to plan better. I'm telling you, Shador out in the shotgun and trying to get the speedy Jimmy horns and then to try to get open and all that. I mean, I'm telling you, it's so stale. I mean, the worst defenses are teeing up on us. And it's like, these guys are coming in here and just doing whatever they want to do. I wanted to make sure to let you guys know out there in the fan base, to let you know that there are solutions. Colorado's season by any means is not over. Colorado can turn this around. We're 1-1. We can still make the college football playoffs. We can still own the Big 12. But guess what, man? If we don't have it in-house already, if it's not in us already, I don't know. It's going to be very difficult to do this. But I know that we are capable of it. We are capable of making changes because we have 127 years of NFL experience in that locker room. They're just going to have to come to grips with, hey, guys, what we have is not working. Either call some outside consultants to come in and say, hey, you got a problem here. You can't run the ball, and they know that. Why don't we help you to scheme on ways that you can put block packages so you can run the ball? Why don't we do some jet sweeps? Why don't we do some quarterback options? That's what my guy, Joe Klatt, was trying to say. And it's not like our guys cannot play football. I want y'all to please stop throwing these kids under the bus every single season. The offensive line is no good. Okay, you can make them look good. The way you make them look good is what Joe Klatt just told you. Help them, okay? Let them get their confidence back. Put them in position to be aggressive. I guarantee you some of those guys are so strong, if you were to put them in packages, put them in a box over here, put them over here, and let them do short little assignments as opposed to these long blocks that they have to wait for Shador all the way back. If you put them in positions to win, I guarantee you by the middle of the season, these guys will be playing with so much confidence that you'll be like, wow, what happened to the O-line? Those are the suggestions. Will they do it? Nobody knows. Are they even interested in running the ball at all? Because we already now conceding that, oh, if your team is not good in running the ball, then why would we continue to run? We're conceding that we can't run the ball, so let's continue to pass the ball. We can run the ball. I know our offensive line is not the best offensive line, but we have to use what we have on that offensive line with some trickery to get it done. David did not beat Goliath with the king's armor. He beat Goliath with his strength. We got to use the strength that we have on our O-line and our D-line, put them in better positions to win, and we will see these kids flourish. I'm telling you, we can't keep wasting the talent that we have on the outside that are just waiting to erupt. We can't keep wasting it with the lack of schematics. Those are my solutions based off of Joe Klatt's recommendations, Ocho's recommendations, and Shannon Sharp's recommendations. They're the professionals. Who am I? I'm just a YouTuber who thinks that my team can be a little bit better. I'm going to leave it right there, and I'll see you. Get it? See you on the next video. Okay? Boom.